The information shared on this podcast is for informational and educational purposes only and is not intended to be a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. While we discuss topics related to mental health, well-being, and emotional support, we are not providing therapy or medical services. Always seek the advice of your physician, psychologist, psychiatrist, or other qualified mental health provider with any questions you may have regarding a mental health condition. If you are in crisis, feeling unsafe, or need immediate support, please contact a mental health professional or emergency services in your area. The views expressed by guests and hosts are their own and do not necessarily reflect those of any affiliated organizations or institutions.
Get inspired, get motivated with Maya Akai and the Maya, My Ambition, Your Ambition podcast.
Something that I take pride in is trying to be forward-thinking, thinking outside the box, challenging myself. And as I challenge myself, hopefully I challenge you.
Find Maya on Twitter and Instagram at Maya_Akai. On Facebook at Maya Akai Presents.
We're going to talk health, wealth, fitness, mental health, financial, lots of different things that can empower you as you seek out the ambition that you're pursuing.
Or get everything Maya at MayaAkai.com.
Namaste, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Maya, My Ambition, Your Ambition. In fact, this is episode 91. As you know, I like to say my podcast looks to embrace salient topics that are related to mental wellness from a fresh and forward-thinking perspective. And with that being said, every show has been amazing. So if you are a first-time listener or viewer, welcome. I just like to say, buckle up for safety, because occasionally it can be an unexpected bumpy ride, because something might just be said that you may have an aha moment. And also with new listeners, I like to welcome to the Maya family, listeners from New Jersey, Massachusetts, and Rhode Island. And you know what? We keep expanding the reach with the message. So welcome to my listeners also from Vietnam, Japan, and Canada. I love my international friends. So welcome to the show. And of course, if you are a returning listener, you know what? You're always appreciated. You know where to find things. Of course, you know to subscribe to the YouTube channel at Maya Speaks to You. That's the easiest way to stay connected with me more than anything else. Also, you know, you can always find the podcast anywhere. If it's a podcast platform, chances are you're going to find me there. All you have to do is search Maya, My Ambition, Your Ambition. But guess what, everybody? I try to make life easy for you. So now you can take Maya on the go, because I actually have an app, the Maya Experience, and you can get it from the Apple Store as well as the Amazon Store. So pretty much you go there, you can download it, and it's free. It's something that's good for free. So you can scan these QR codes, and right there, you will be all set to go and take Maya on the go. So you'll know when podcasts are. You can check in with my blogs I have there, because I have a menopause blog that if you are going through the process of menopause, or if you happen to be with someone who is, there are some nuggets on that blog that comes out every Monday that might actually be very eye-opening. And there's also a weekly inspirational blog. I give you one thought a week to think about. All these things are right there in the Maya app. So I would encourage you to go ahead and to download that. And you know what? Everything Maya is right there. So if you're the returning, listener reviewer, like I said, find that space that you're comfy, you're cozy for the next, 40, 50 minutes. This is your time. So I always tell people, find that space where you can relax, listen, and reflect. And also grab a pen and paper, because you might want to jot down some things, because that's how we do things here. I am so excited about this episode 91, because I feel like I frequently have this conversation with a lot of people. Honestly, I do. Why am I still single or unhappily matched? We're about to have a very candid conversation about dating and relationships. So whether you're single or you're married or in a relationship, we're about to really do a deep dive into some things that a lot of people probably have thought about and have not really come up with answers to. Well, guess what? That's why when we bring people onto the ambition stage, this is what we do. So you probably feel right now that dating is no longer bumping into love. It now feels like you have to swipe, you have to scroll, do any soul searching, but better yet, sometimes just to get a first date. Many people feel that the digital grind is the only way to meet people. So if you're not online on apps, you're not going to meet someone. And a lot of people feel that's a major reason for why they're not connecting and they have their dating woes. Well, I understand that between dodging red flags, navigating ghosting with people, and feeling the weight of just digital burnout because you already lose probably your phone for so many things. And now you probably feel like, great. And now I also have to use it for dating too. It can actually be a bit overwhelming. So people kind of just resign themselves to thinking they won't find someone and they just feel stuck. But here's the thing I want you to think about. And this guest is going to help you figure this out. Being single is actually the perfect position to reset, refocus, and rebuild the emotional and mental foundation you need to build to support whatever your relationship goals are. So, with that being said, I am so excited to bring, I love it. And I happened to come across him actually because someone told me about him, and I was like, I'm glad you brought this up because I never would have found it. And this is a great episode. So our next guest stepping onto the ambition stage. And whenever I bring on guests, I say it's the ambition stage because they have done something amazing. They have found their passion, their purpose, and they have pushed it forward with their ambition and motivation. And almost every single one of these people have committed themselves to improving the lives of others. That's one of the things that makes them exceptional. So stepping onto the ambition stage is certified life coach, dating and relationship expert, Tore Cas. And let me just tell you, Tore is the founder of Love Is Not Enough. And I'm pretty sure if you don't know what that means, you're going to know by the end of this episode. I'm just going to throw in there, what's love got to do with it? Probably is a good supporting foundation on that very thought, to be honest. He is a specialist in helping individuals as well as couples uncover the deep and often destructive and disconnected emotional patterns they have in their relationships or failure to have a relationship to help them to build connections with purpose. This episode of Maya, we're going to discuss how to move beyond just holding on or settling to achieve the intentional relationship goals you desire. But here's what's more important, that you actually deserve. So without further ado, and I'm going to enjoy this episode so much, let's bring to the ambition stage, Tore Cas.
Hey, hello everybody. How are y'all doing today?
Oh, and by the way, now I can just call Coach Love Isn't Enough. Coach Love is what we're going to refer to him moving forward because that's what he does. And I'm going to tell you something, Tore, I am so excited to have you here because as a therapist, and I want to preface, and you say this if people go to your website, this is not therapy, this is not matchmaking, this is doing the work to figure out why you're not achieving those relationship goals. So you're helping to coach people through whatever it is they haven't figured out. And I think that's important. So let's start with this. What even brought you to this destination that you were about to become Coach Love?
So I had one of the world's worst dating experiences as a teenager, as 18, going all the way up until 23. And things weren't making sense. Luckily for me, I did have a therapist. I had someone that I could talk to, and I talked to my therapist during every breakup that I had. But it was like something didn't make sense, and it was a puzzle to me that I just had to figure out. And so from 23 till about 27, all I did was research. I purposely avoid being into relationships because I was like, something don't make sense. Like it has to be an easier way. What I was hearing from other people wasn't making sense. What I would see in television or what I hear in the songs, it wasn't making sense. And so it took a while. I was journaling, dissecting, just collecting data. And then I decided, okay, at 27, I was like, all right, I think I have all the pieces to the puzzle. Let me see if this works now. Let me see if this truly works. And so as I started to make the data make sense, my dating life was a complete 180, to the point where when I finally decided that I wanted to find my wife, I found her in 6 months. I did the work, I followed the information, and I was able to find her easily in 6 months.
Okay, now, Tore, we can't create false hope because you didn't say you found your wife in 6 months, and a whole bunch of people in the audience just perked up and said, 6 months? Oh, your client is about to grow exponentially.
See, you have to see, it's like there's that moment where you just, when you go out, you date, you try to figure out where things are and then there's that other moment when like when you absolutely know what you want, you're not backing down from it, you know what you're looking for, and you start that search. From that moment, if you follow the right patterns and formulas, you can find your future partner.
Okay. So now I told you as we discussed how we were going to roll, I'm about to throw, because you said something that I think I love it. I find it's highly inspirational. Dating myth. Let's talk about this a little bit because what I have heard people say, and I always say there's some things that legitimately you just can't determine if it's a myth or not. But what you just said is you did the work on you. So first, I want to preface something, people. He did the work on him. So when he presented at the dating table, what he was serving up was a person that was looking for someone not to complete him, but to complement him. Am I right on this? Let me start with that.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Now, here's the dating myth thing I'm gonna have to ask you about. So
Okay.
you said you did the work and then you knew what you wanted, which means one, he's dating with intention because he knows what he wants. And it sounds like you knew you wanted a wife, not just a date, just to be out there socializing, but it sounded like you knew you wanted a wife.
Yeah.
So here becomes the dating myth. Do men determine when marriage happens? Because I suppose a woman could propose to a man if she took the path that you took. She could then decide to ask him to marry her. But that kind of goes against what we feel socially is acceptable. And if you are a traditional dater, as I was back in the day, I would have, one, not even asked a man on a date, let alone him to marry me. Dating myth. Men determine when marriage actually really happens.
So let's break that down for a minute. The first problem that we have to circle around is the fact that we do live in a world where men choose who they marry and women choose who they sleep with. And that's only because of the environment that society has created. Because if we look at marriage in the past, the woman was only valuable if she could have kids and if she was providing service as a wife to the household. The man in his mindset was going out and doing everything, and a woman couldn't survive without a man. Just think back in the day, traditionally, right? Because you said traditional mindset,
marriage.
right?
Yes.
And so in traditional mindset and traditional society, a woman couldn't get a credit card, a woman couldn't get her own house, she couldn't get her own car. She was growing up in a society that kept telling her somebody has to choose you in order for you to be able to live the life you want to. You can't choose who you're looking for. Now let's fast forward to today. That's not the world that we live in anymore. Women not only can get their own things, but they do have their own things. They have their own house, their own career, their own car, their own job. So then do we say at that point that if you have everything, you still have to sit there and wait and be like, well, guess since no one chose me, I'm just gonna sit and look sexy in this house. It's a conundrum that can be fixed easily with healthy, and I mean this clearly, healthy communication. Okay. Now, on one side for the man, if a man knows he wants to be married, he's going to look for a wife, period. And it's easy because you just ask him, what are you looking for? What is your purpose? And if his response is anything other than I'm looking for a wife, then the man ain't serious. Just leave him where he's at. Leave him at the back door because he's just looking for friends. If he say, well, I'm just looking for friends and seeing where it go. No, that's not. When you want what you want, you say it out loud.
Okay.
Because yes.
Messaging. So you're saying the messaging is really important. So if a man is to say, because I think because words can be about semantics, and I think it's easy to get off track, but you said something that people will say, and I think it's easy to misinterpret it. So if a man says, oh, I'm just dating, I'm making friends, that means he's not intentional to be married. But if he says something to the effect of, I'm dating, I want to be friends first, but my intention is I would like to find a wife. Two different things, correct?
When I met my wife, I told her when we started dating, because my wife put me in the friend zone. And I was okay with being in the friend zone because I had a trip planned and I didn't want to talk about relationships before I went on this trip. But when I came back from the trip and we went on a date, I explained to her, I said, listen, I'm fine with being in the friend zone. However, I want you to know that my purpose for dating you is because I want to see if we can move forward to a relationship that leads somewhere. If that's not what you want, that's fine. Let me know now so I don't have to waste my time. But I'm letting you know that my goal is a future with you. And if that's not something that you want, then I'm okay with it. And a lot of times people are like, oh, that's too forward. But there has to be purpose for everything that you're doing, right? If you're talking about the idea of looking for a future life partner, you can't just beat around the bush because ambiguity would destroy a relationship and destroy dating, period. Just like there's no such thing as exclusive when dating. Either you're in a relationship or you're not in a relationship. The whole mindset of being like, well, let's be exclusive, you just wasting my damn time.
See, that's an interesting myth. Okay, I love this. So the people ears are perking up because you said something else that I think might be a dating myth, but I gotta, when people contribute to the comment section, I want to add it. Remember, if he's saying something and you have a question, drop it into the comment section and I can put it on the screen, boom, just like this, and your question can appear. So Tipsy says, do you think it's true when you say a man knows right away that he wants to marry a woman or he would just marry her? When she's saying, what's your thoughts on this?
So a lot of times people think that the moment that he sees you, he knows if you are the wife or not. But that takes time. There is no I know at the very first moment that you are my wife. Until someone answers your nonverbal questions, you don't even know if he's a potential husband for you. And that's what one of the things that we get at the idea when we talk about traditionally a man should ask a woman, right? But
Right.
in that same aspect, as a woman, you need to hold that man accountable to why you are dating. Don't allow someone to waste your time. So if you're dating, you don't have to say, listen, are we getting married or not? But what you can say is, I need to make sure you understand that dating me means you're dating me with a purpose because I'm not here to waste my time. And then now you have to introduce check-ins. Now, check-ins is very important. Let's talk about check-ins, okay?
I hope everybody, well, hold up. If you don't have pen and paper right now, because you're getting a free coaching session, you better grab one. But the good thing is you can go back and watch this too on YouTube. But
there you go.
Check-ins. Tell me about this.
So when me and my wife first met and we were in our dating phase, the moment that we decided that we were going to start an exclusive relationship, not exclusively dating, when we decided that we were going to start an exclusive relationship, the question that we did is every month we asked each other, how is your happiness? Am I impeding upon your happiness? What does the next month look like for you? What would you like to accomplish together? Are there some things that you want to do? Has there been things that has been questionable for my behavior that you would like to talk about? Are there things that you asked me to work on that you feel I'm not fixing? Do you still feel like this relationship is beneficial to your life goals? And then whatever other questions that you want to ask that's based on your lifestyle and boundaries. And so every month we did this until we got comfortable learning how to check in with each other. And then we moved on to every 3 months. So there was no confusion about will she be my wife? Because every check-in, that was a part of the conversation. And the conversation was, do you still feel like this relationship is beneficial to the marriage? Absolutely. I do see that. There's this I want to fix. I want to fix this finance. I want to purchase this property. And then I'm all gung-ho because I'm going to go talk to your mother very soon. That way, there is no lost in translation. A lot of times we just want to sit there and be like, well, maybe they'll talk to me about it. Maybe they'll ask. If you want a husband, hold the people accountable that you're dating. They can still ask you, but hold them accountable. Why are we together and what are we doing? And to answer that question, a man will know while he's dating you, not at the first date. Because if we're not answering nonverbal questions, then we don't know what we don't know. Nonverbal questions has to be answered first.
Okay. And you said something that when I do couples counseling with people, I encourage frequent check-ins with your partner. It doesn't matter that you're married. You want to check in.
Hmm.
What's their temperature? Like, hey, how you doing? You happy? And people think that's a ridiculous thing to do. I said, no, because you'd be surprised when you ask the question. They may have some stuff on their mind that they've just chosen not to discuss with you because maybe your communication is off or they don't feel you're going to be receptive. So I even encourage those check-ins to keep your marriage on track as well. Okay. Next, we got another myth that we're going to have to talk about. And this is one that I know a lot of women are going to be able to resonate with. One, you mentioned something historically that I think most people didn't realize. I want to say it was roughly like 1972 or 3. It's somewhere in the 70s where women acquired those financial luxuries that you talked about, those financial privileges that had been given to men, being able to have a bank account, a credit card, buy a house. That's crazy. That idea is only about as old as me because I'm 54. So think about it. Up until that point, women did not have that type of autonomy, that they could not maybe truly be as authentic as they wanted to be. So then here you go. Women now have these things, and I would say over time, it builds and women become more career focused because now it's like there's options for you out there besides just being home, just being a spouse, or being a mother. You can now seek career goals. So then all of a sudden, we probably spring into maybe the late 90s or 2000s. And I actually had one of my clients bring this to my attention, the independent woman, because now you can have that financial, independence and pursue things you want. But somehow the idea of independent woman has been framed in a way of saying, well, I don't need a man. I can do everything myself. And it's kind of been put in a position that I often think when it comes to dating, a lot of women feel that they are less desirable because they can be self-sufficient. How does that stand? Because part of a myth says if a man doesn't feel needed, he doesn't know if he has a purpose in his relationship.
So, for one, that is a sign that that man don't love himself. Let's start there, because if what makes him happy is the fact that you need to struggle in life in order for him to feel needed, then there's a deeper issue that you can't solve, and that's not the type of man that you should be looking for in the first place. If someone complains that, well, what can I do for you when you do everything for yourself? They're not getting the big picture and isn't your type in the first place. Okay. We have people who are comfortable with traditional lifestyles, and then we have people who have exceeded past the traditional mindset and can see things in a new modern way. If you are going to be an independent woman and you are going to do for yourself, you can't date traditional mindset men. That is now a red flag for you. Stop trying to force them to just be like, okay, well, you just need to get it. No, the mindset needs to change. It's like when you don't know how to cook for yourself. Okay. Like if you burn water boiling it, okay, then you are more likely to get you McDonald's, Sharks, Burger King, Wendy's. Listen, like you will get Maxwell's on Halsted, and that's the wrong place to go get Maxwell's.
Three-piece, spicy.
You going anywhere. But when you teach yourself how to cook, when you learn what to do, what not to do in order to feel yourself, trust me, when you start tasting food the way it should be tasted, you're gonna look at that McDonald's and be like, I don't have to eat that no more. I don't need that. Now, you live in a society where 1 million people shop at McDonald's every day. Are you going to still date those same mindset people who want to eat McDonald's, or are you going to upgrade your thinking and date someone who likes cooked food? And that's the same thing with being an independent woman. Don't go for someone who has the traditional mindset of thinking that you're supposed to be taken care of by the man, and the man should be the head of the household and the leader. That don't work in this new age of dating anymore. It doesn't work when you are the independent person, because let me tell you something. That's how you fall into manipulation with people, when people have the full control. And a lot of people just get really mad that they can't manipulate the relationship, knowing that you can handle yourself.
Now, see, that's a different perspective right there. Knowing that a person can stand 10 toes down on what she wants, and because you cannot manipulate her, all of a sudden then it becomes a mind game to make her think that somehow she's deficient. And that's where I feel like the independent woman narrative has gone, that it's something wrong with her because she doesn't want those traditional things. And some women who are independent actually still do seek some traditional things. It's almost like maybe we're at a hybrid period where I don't think we fully have gotten past, because there's some old bastions still out there like me and maybe some people hanging out in their like 40s that kind of still have that traditional type mindset. And I think younger generations are probably moving less away from that. I've noticed in how they date. They believe in things should be 50-50. Someone once said that she was asked on a date and they went Dutch. And I was like, oh, I don't know what I would have done with that, because that's just not what I'm used to. All right, Tori, you have got ears poked up. Coach Love is in the building, everybody. So here we go. Katie Piccolo is asking, you said something she didn't understand and she wants some clarification. Can you elaborate on nonverbal questions or, cues and things like that? What did you mean when you said that?
So nonverbal questions are the things that it's like the red flags that you're attempting to avoid when meeting people. Okay. And so I'll give you an example of a nonverbal question, because we talked a lot about independent women and talked about how you want to keep your independence. One of your nonverbal questions that you have, and here's the thing. In order to get a nonverbal question answered, it's not about asking them verbally, okay? You have to wait for their actions to answer the question, okay? So going to women that's dating, the very first question that you should always have is, what do this man think about women's rights in America? Okay. Now that's not something that you can just ask. Like, you can have a conversation, kind of get their like thoughts, but until you actually see how this person acts with other women, not just his mama. Don't be fooled by the mama now, because every man already knows, treat the mama well, you see it, you think that's how I'm gonna treat every woman. No, how does he treat every woman? How does he talk about every woman? If while talking about every woman, he's throwing the B word and the H word everywhere, then I can guarantee you're gonna fall into that category, right? I'll give you another example. Let's say, for instance, you want a successful marriage relationship that ends in a idea where you can both be wealthy. Okay. The thing is, a lot of times people try to date people based off of what money they're already making. But the problem is, there are a lot of accidental successful people in this world. And so just because you find someone who is stable doesn't mean that they have the capabilities of staying stable. And so one question that I always tell people to have as a nonverbal question is, how do you deal with failure? Now, that's not a question that you're going to just ask somebody. That is a question that you need to see in real life application. And so while you're dating them, if every time that they fail at something, they start to blame the world, they start talking about how the world is out to get them, or they're blaming someone else but themselves, they're not taking accountability in their own actions of why they failed. They're not getting themselves back up by the bootstraps because now they're so depressed about their loss, they got to stay in the house. That is already telling you what you're going to see in the future when you talk about working on life goals, working on a business together, working on school together, whatever, children together, whatever you're seeing it right now. And so depending on what style of relationship you want, depending on what you're looking for, you're going to set up nonverbal questions that you need answered before you even decide, okay, let's get into a relationship. You should have 2 nonverbal questions before having sex. You should have about 3 to 4 nonverbal questions before getting into a relationship. And then you should have about 5 nonverbal questions before marrying the person. That way, because a lot of people say, oh, there should be a time limit. As long as you get to know them for 8 months, it's fine. Or, oh, if you date them for 6 months, y'all should have sex. Time doesn't mean anything. Especially because now you live in a society where they text too much and they thinking that 1 month of texting equals 1 month of communication, and it doesn't. I didn't get to know nothing about you if all we did was text. And so nonverbal questions is what is important to you that you need answered, but just asking them isn't going to get you the answer. So you need to see real life scenarios and situations.
So now you've had something that I also feel like could potentially fall into a dating myth. And I'll be honest, I kind of would say I kind of held this to a higher regard, but I feel like you definitely fleshed it out more for me. That if a man has a good relationship with his mother, the assumption is that he is going to be good with you. And you kind of debunked that, like, not to say it wasn't true, but you're like, you can't lead with that because if his example doesn't reflect it, like with you, then what makes you think that? Tell me a bit more about that.
So think about like, okay, if you go out with someone and he does go to the family reunion and he treats his mother well, but the whole family is like, oh, you opening doors for your lady now? When you start doing that, you know how because family will root you out. Like family will tell on you without telling on you. When my family first met my wife, they looked at her and was like, I hope y'all not dating because he a hoe. And she was just like, that's just my friend. So it is what it is. Family's very honest, right? So when you talk about going out and you focusing on how he treat his mama, that's different. We have a bond with her. And a lot of men don't see their mama the same way they see women. And so they out here calling other women bees and hoes, but they never gonna say that about their mama. And so your assumption is, oh, well, because he loves his mother and he treats his mothers very well, that's gonna how I'm gonna be. No, you're not his mama. You didn't birth him. How is he treating every woman on this planet? Does he have friends with women? I found it as a red flag if a person cannot have friends of the opposite sex. Why can't you have friends of the opposite sex? Why is that a problem for you? And what happened when you do try to have friends of the opposite sex? When you think about exes, now, yes, there are some exes that we have where we're just like, that person could go sit in the gutter somewhere and I wouldn't care about it. But
Right.
to say that you aren't friends with any of your ex, so all your exes is just a no-go. We never talking again. We're never friends. I usually take that as a red flag because first of all, relationships is a priority that you put over a friendship.
True.
And so at the end of the day, the friendship should still remain. It's, hey, we tried it out. We realized it didn't work. We should be able to have a understanding and break this apart. How does he see every woman? How does he treat every woman? How does he talk about every woman? Does he know about women's issues and what they go through? Because just like when you date outside your race, you have to ask, what do you know about my race and what my people go through? The same aspect as a woman dating a man.
Okay. I mean, you definitely like, and that's often a sticking point with people is friends with their exes or if they should remain friends with their ex. Now, you said something that I think is interesting. And I feel like if you break up with someone because you both acknowledge it didn't work, then sometimes you can have that amicable split, right? And you can remain friends. But I'm one to feel like if you feel too emotionally attached to something, and you did not enter into that exchange with that individual to be their friend necessarily, you were seeking a relationship, is it a wrong if a person decides, I'm actually done with this, I'm moving on? Because my interest wasn't to make friends, I was working with you to build something more, and because I'm too emotionally attached, me trying to remain as your friend might be way too complicated for me, so why should I put myself through that emotional misery just to maintain a friendship with you? What's your thoughts?
Ooh. So I'm glad you asked that question because we're going to get into why my name is my name. But let's start off.
Well, your real name, your government name, or Coach Love?
Coach Love. Coach Love
Okay.
isn't enough. Okay. So first of all, yes, you don't have to be friends with whoever you need. Like you can choose who you keep in your circle, right? And if you chose that, even though your exes are still cool, but you didn't want them in your circle, completely fine, right? It's all about, do you still have disdain for them or do you still have love for them? Do you still wish for them the best in life or do you wish for them hatred? Because then that shows a lot, right? But let's talk about your emotions to other people real quick, okay? Let's talk about love, all right? I want everybody listening to this call, I want you to think about how many people you have dated in your lifetime. I want you to think about that real quick. Like, think about the total number of people you went out on a date with.
Oh, a
Okay.
date, not like seriously involved, but a date.
Yeah. Not seriously involved, just a date. Like, even if you went out just to get some food at Red Lobster and go home and you weren't going to see them again, that person still counts as somebody you went on a date with. Like, I want you to think of that answer. All right. Now, I will say I'm sure that answer is not more than 1,000. For anyone on this call, I'm sure that answer is not more than 1,000. And if it is, come see me. I'm gonna help you. So, so even out of that 1,000, let me ask you a question then. How many people have you fallen in love with, or how many people have you loved out of those people that you dated? And I want you to focus on that number. And let's just say you tell me I've only been in love with one person my entire life. Okay, great. That probably means you only dated 10 to 50 people. But let's just say you dated 1,000 people and you fell in love with only one person. Okay. Well, that means if I introduce you to every single able-bodied person just in the city of Chicago, because there's 6 million of them, which means there's probably about 3 million singles, 1.5 million is eligible for you. That means you can fall in love or be loved by at least 100 people. Okay. Now, with that type of statistic, if I introduce you to every person on this planet, because there's 7 billion of them, break down the singles and the people you can date, you could fall in love with about 2,000 people. Now, here's the thing though, and I'm sorry to break it to you, in love don't exist. I'm gonna say this again, in love does not exist. What in love is basically a determination of who you having sex with. No one ever says, I'm in love with my children. No one says, I'm in love with my parents. We only say we're in love with the person we having sex with. And that kind of is like the mental change that messes us up, okay? So you find someone that you love, and you're like, oh my God, I love you. At that point, something switches in the synapses that makes you think that because you love this person, you're supposed to be with this person. And that is the worst myth of all, because that is not true. Just because you love someone doesn't mean that it's meant to be a relationship or anything past that. Because, and here's the thing, because a lot of times people talk about how, ooh, I found the love of my life, right? Bullshit. Because the true love of your life is you. You are your first love of your life because you are the person that you're going to be with the longest. You're the person that knows you fully. But then when we go past that and people be like, oh, I need to find my soulmate. You got multiple soulmates. And the best example I can give of that is my mother has been married 3 times. And out of those 3 marriages, she had a best friend from high school that they stayed friends for 66 years. You can argue that although she found 3 soulmates at different times in her life, her best friend has been her soulmate the entire time, because her best friend from high school has been in her life from day one until she passed. That right there is proof that your soulmate isn't just one person. But we get stuck in this mythological understanding of love, this mythological understanding of finding a healthy relationship and thinking, well, because I love you now, that I need to find you. I'm going to tell you right now what you need to do to find your relationship, okay? Well, it's not love either. Love is a great glue, right? But love isn't the determining factor, which, by the way, if you ever catch someone saying, I'm doing this because I love you, walk away already, because what that means is they're going to start using love as a weapon towards you, because they're going to start saying, you should do this for me because you love me. Don't you love me? You should be doing this for me. That is the slippery slope down manipulation trail. But anyways, let's talk about how you find your healthy relationship. You need to answer one valuable question. One valuable question can help you have a better understanding of where you're going in the dating pool. You ready for this question? Here we go.
Drop the knowledge.
What does life look like for you in the next 20 years? But your answer cannot have anything to do with children, spouse, career, or family. All 4 of those things has to be excluded from your answer. I'm
good.
I'm gonna say that again. In the next 20 years, you got a far turn out, right? What does life look like for you? You can't be talking about your personality traits of, oh, I'm going to be a great person. I'm going to be a good person to society. No. What I'm asking, I'm going to give you an example. In the next 20 years, I have a 200-acre farm. I have 5 houses on that farm. I have 1 cathedral ceiling home, 1 ranch style home, 1 weed house home, 1 barn. I have a wind turbine and solar panel. I own a fire truck, a bazooka, and a machine gun. I speak 5 different languages. I have a property in Africa, and I have a property in Japan, and I have 4 properties in America, and I have a school bus and a fire truck for sure. If I didn't say that, I definitely have a fire truck. I travel every 3 months internationally and domestically, and I do a lot of giving back to society. Now, when you have this understanding of what life looked like for you, once again, this had nothing to do with my kids, it had nothing to do with my spouse, it had nothing to do with anything but me. Okay. So now once you have this answer, the next question is, well, what do I need in order to get this goal? How much money is it going to cost? Which means you need to research it, and you have to know your plan specifically. There's a difference between saying I'm gonna have a house internationally versus saying I'm gonna have a house in Osaka, Japan, and it's gonna be on the corner of 4th and 3rd Street because that's where I want to stay. And it's $250,000 for the house I want, and I gotta pay for a shaman to bless the house just in case someone died in there. That's is the specifics that you should know for future version you, because let's talk about it. First things first, how much does that lifestyle cost? For me, it's $18.3 million with an annual income needed of $1.2 million. Great. What do you need in the next 15 years? What do you need in the next 10 years? What do you need in the next 7 years? What do you need in the next 5 years? What do you need in the next 3 years? Because you need to create your life plan, right? Now, once you have this entire answer created, once you have this entire plan, now you can answer the most simple question of all. What do I need out of a partner in order for us to achieve this goal? Because a lot of times people think, let me go find someone and then create my future plan. And that is ass backwards. That is not what you do. You need to find future plan first. Where do you want to go? Because a relationship is like jumping into a car with someone, and the marriage and the lifestyle is a destination. But if you're a person who know that you want to travel every 3 months, why would you date someone who doesn't have an idea of getting a passport? If you know that you want to own a bazooka, why would you get someone who complains about gun rights? You know that it's not going to work. Stop using love as a reason, because love is not a reason. Love is not enough. You have to find your future plan first.
And you know what? You said 2 things for me that always stick in the back of my head that I talk about. The most important relationship you have is with yourself. When you love you, I did a podcast a couple weeks ago that said, if self-love is not in the equation of your relationship, you're in the wrong relationship. Because if it's absent, that means you're not taking care of you. But it also goes back to, everybody loved, by the way, the movie Jerry Maguire, right? I mean, I'm assuming you might be Tom Cruise. You might maybe be a little too young to remember it. But
I remember it a little bit.
But he had this line in the movie that every woman just quivered. And when he said to Renee Zellweger, you complete me. And I was like, that's some bull. And someone said, and then I was told, see, that's the problem with you. You're too independent. And I was like, no one completes you. They compliment you. You should walk into a relationship already complete. And the reason most people struggle is they have not worked on their deficits, but they think somebody else is going to fix it. And you should have done that work on your own. Okay. So now we got the questions coming in here. We got a question from Mariah Phillips says, how long is too long not to be exclusively dating?
That's up to you. It's not don't look at it as a time limit. It's up to you. If you, first of all, wait a minute. I'm sorry. Let's repeat. There's no such thing as exclusively dating. Let's start there. There's no such thing as exclusively dating. You're either getting into a relationship or you not. Do not date one person at a time. Please do not date one person at a time. Stop it. Delete it from your mindset. Listen, now if he gets upset that you are dating other men while you're getting to know him, too bad. Drop it. because that person isn't understanding, or that person wants some control over you that they're not willing to get. Now, if they're talking about, hey, I want to be in a relationship with you, I want us to go towards marriage, and this is my future life plan. This is why I want to be with you. Because we can say all day, I want to be with you, but why? Why do you want to be with me? Do you want to be with me just, and here's the thing, do you want to be with me just so you can have sex? Because we got to stop using relationships to justify sex. We need to stop using exclusively dating to justify sex. And most people who want exclusive dating rights are the ones who like to have unprotected sex because it makes them feel better when it's exclusive. Put a condom on and have multiple people. Do not just date one person at a time.
Oh,
Okay.
Coach Love, you are talking so non-traditional. I'm over here like, I don't know what to do about this. This is so anti what I know. I'm married now, so it doesn't matter. So I don't have to worry about that. But boy, if you would have said this to me, if I was sitting in your office and you would have said this to me, I would have been like, I don't think I can do that, because my mindset does not believe that sex should exist out of a committed relationship. I struggle with dealing with one person at a time, let alone you tell me a bunch. I definitely would have struggled. So with that being said, let's move into, we talked about some dating myths, and I feel like now you've kind of laid some things out, but let's give people a quick rundown. What are some dating mistakes then?
Not loving themselves. First dating mistake. Can't be dating other people if you don't love yourself first. You need to work. You need to take care of that accountability. And if you don't love yourself, be honest with people and just let them know, I'm just looking for a sexual companion while I'm looking to love myself. Another dating mistake: following traditional values while not living a traditional lifestyle. I'll give an example. Men saying that they want a woman to submit and to stay in the household and to cook and clean and take care of the children, but then only make $40,000 a year and can't afford the traditional lifestyle. You can't be asking for what you're doing. Another dating mistake: your type is not your type.
Huh? What you talking about, Willis?
I want to make sure that sits
I don't
with
know what that
people.
means. I don't know what
want
that
people
means.
to sit with that for a minute, because sometimes your type is just not your type. Okay. You can't be out here trying to date what you either can't afford or you can't mentally handle.
Okay, that's what when I thought about it, that's what I thought you meant. Like when people talk about dating out your league or things like that, up above your level, things like that. Okay, and I think people misunderstand what that means. It's not saying that person is too good for you necessarily, but it's maybe
Yeah.
like you're not showing up in the way that that person is going to probably expect for you to show up.
So I'll give an example. There are a lot of self-conscious people like to find trophy relationships, but because they're self-conscious, they can't handle that trophy relationship because their insecurities are going to get in. Don't date someone fine and then be insecure when they still go out looking good, talking about why you got to go out looking that good. Your type is not your type.
Oh, I
Or
love it.
if you are out here saying that you want a millionaire boyfriend, you want a millionaire man, you want a millionaire husband, or you want a well together partner, but then you yourself is not well together or making your own, then how can you expect to find the type that ain't looking for you? Because a lot of times the type that people want isn't looking for you.
And can I just say something? You're saying something I can say I agree with. And the one person he used to talk about this, but he turned me off, was Kevin Samuels, because it was the way that he talked about it. And I felt like he was kind of pinpointing women that wasn't fair. I felt like he was being very unbalanced. He would have women on his show that didn't match what he was talking about. So I don't know.
Yeah.
It just kind of bothered me. So you have said something that I have to then say, if we talked about dating mistakes, because I want to shift a little bit and talk about couples too. Talk to me about dating taboos. And this is what I mean when I say that. You had me have an aha moment about the idea of non-monogamous relationships. Because in my mind, my traditional brain went, hell no. Are you kidding me? And it's not so much because I feel like maybe I am the jealous type. I don't like to share. I'm an only child, but it's just not the way I was raised. So it doesn't resonate with me necessarily. Though technically from a biblical perspective, men have had multiple wives since the beginning of time. Maybe Adam didn't. He just had one according to what we know. But beyond that, biblically, it's always been something that was accepted. Other countries still practice having multiple wives. It is kind of unfair. We can't have multiple husbands though. But If it was balanced, I'd be okay with it. Talk to people about that, because when I talk to you, I had an aha moment like, something, if someone is non-monogamous, why are they trying to put themselves in the monogamous box?
Okay, so first of all, who said you can't have multiple boyfriends just because tradition says you can't? Okay.
Because
It-
because because Coach Love, if I'm out there dating like that, history says a woman with too many boyfriends, she's easy. That's not a lady.
mm,
That's
mm,
tradition. Traditional says if a
mm,
woman is out there like that, she's
mm-hmm,
not a lady. And that also makes you
mm-hmm.
not exactly something that a man would necessarily want, because you've been around. See, women don't get
Yeah,
that
but
privilege to get around like
so
that.
but let me ask you a question. Are those people that's thinking like that, are they paying your bills?
Nope. But
So
but
then why care how you live your life? If you
but
won't
okay.
you
But
can't
let me
you
tell
can't
but
change people's mindset on how they see you, right?
true,
No matter
true,
what.
true.
Let's say for instance, Beyonce, one of the most successful artists out there, decided she didn't want just Jay-Z, she wanted another man, right? You couldn't then look at her and be like, "Oh, well, she devalued herself." She don't care. She's making her money, she's doing her thing, she's living her life. Why should we care how they want to live their life? We're not covering their bills. The whole idea that a woman can't have multiple men is far-fetched because most men can't handle multiple women. But people like to use the gender scientific theology of saying, oh, well, a woman can't handle multiple relationships because they just not mentally built for it. Men aren't either. And men are just as emotional as women are, because once you start talking about that man's tool, he turns into a baby and he start crying. But let's get into it.
Let's
Let's
talk
talk
about
about ethical
non-monogamous.
non-monogamy. Let's talk about
Okay.
it. So the first things first. If you're going to go into ethical non-monogamy, one thing has to be true, or at least two things have to be true. One, you have to be capable of loving more than one person. That is true. You have to
Okay.
be able to be capable of doing that. If you can juggle loving more than one person, then you can be successfully attached to an ethical non-monogamous lifestyle. Or if you don't see sex the same way as society do, but you can love multiple people, then you can be a swinger. Those are the two
Ooh.
options that you
Say
can
that
have.
again, because I think people see swinging and non-monogamy as one and the same.
They are definitely not. Swinger is under ethical non-monogamy just because we are including ultimate optional partners. But when it comes to swinging, the whole practice is we're going out, we're finding someone for just this one purpose. But when we come back home, it's still us and only us. Just like people's mindset on poly relationships, when someone say they're in a poly relationship, they think, oh, well, you're just sleeping around with different people. Mostly all poly relationships are closed relationships. They're not open in the aspect of, oh, I'm going to get this next person, let me go get this next person. Oh, we can still talk to other people. Although open poly relationships do exist, most poly relationships are not open. Now, people who want to go into ethical non-monogamy needs to understand something. You have to understand why you want to do ethical non-monogamy. Now, I do have an ethical non-monogamous marriage. What I will tell you is that our purpose is different in that. Now, my wife has always asked me, if we decided to close this relationship, close this marriage, and just be monogamous, are you able to make it happen? And I said, absolutely. But two things has to be understood, okay? One, sex will become boring because there are things that I don't do, and I'm not going to change it up just because we closed the marriage. So as long as you're okay with that, just know there's going to be some sexual things I'm not doing. Because I tell people all the time, like you just said about why you can't have multiple men, right? But I want you to think about something. As a man, if I tell you that I am the only person that you can have sex with, then that means as your partner, when you have new sexual desires, you should be able to come to me for that. Just like if I tell you, can't no one else cook you food but me. You can't go to no restaurants. You can't eat at your mama house. Only person that could cook you food is me. Well, if you come to me and be like, well, I want some spaghetti, and I tell you, I'm not cooking no damn spaghetti. I don't like spaghetti. At that point, I just made your whole eating experience in life unfair. And that is what sex is to some people, which is why they go the swinger route when they realize, okay, what I want from my partner, I can't get from my partner. My partner is the dom. So am I. We are both doms. And although she has a switch mentality, she likes to dominate men. I'm not a sub. I don't have no switch in me. I don't have no submissive in me. You can't tie me to the. It's not happening. That's not my king. It's not my king.
50 Shades of Grey for you.
Absolutely not. Absolutely on the other end. Absolutely not. But here's the thing, right? Because if we were in a monogamous relationship, me saying no would make her sex life unfair, would make it unbalanced. Because now, who does she get to explore that with? She won't. But knowing that we both want different things and different experiences, go have your fun. Because who you have sex with don't change the aspect of our relationship together. So go and do what you want to do. But on the other end of things, let's take sex out of it. Let's take the idea of sex out of it. If you can love multiple people and you are one of them people where you feel like you love hard, because that's the term that people say, I love hard. You might be able to love multiple people, and it may be easier on your partner to not push all of that love off onto one person. Because when my wife asked me, when she was like, okay, so what if we close this relationship? I told her, I was like, now I want you to think about how much I love you and how much I show you that love. And just know that we're going to have to multiply that by 10, because now you're not letting me share that emotion with anyone else. I'm only going to give you that energy. And she looked at me, she was like, yeah, no, but thank you. But no.
Okay. That's okay. So we talked about the struggles, obviously, with being single, but what I'm going to say is tons of people end up getting married, and honestly, Coach Love, they never have these type of conversations. They go into marriage with a lot of probably misunderstandings, myths, you know what I'm saying? Falsehoods. So then all of a sudden they're not happy. They are unfortunately unhappily matched at that point. What then?
You have to have an honest conversation, even no matter if you've been together for 19 years or if you've been together for 9 days. There needs to be a conversation about why and what's next. Because usually people who find themselves in those situations are probably lacking check-ins in the first place and just staying within the realm of things. Because here's the thing, most humans are lazy. And so when we find somebody, we just be like, that person's going to be it. And we just gonna have to make it work. And so we start attempting to change the person. Do you know how much of an oxymoron it is to tell someone that you love them and then also say, but I need you to change these things about yourself? That makes no sense. If you love them, you love me for all of me, my faults and my goods. And I work on things to make life comfortable for you. But to tell me, yeah, as much as I love you, you got to change this, you got to change that. No, then that's just not your person. Go find the person that don't need to be changed, because usually you're dating someone who's been that way for 30 years. You expecting them to change in 6 months because y'all met? That's asinine. That is asinine.
I'm going to agree with you on that.
Find someone who matches what you're looking for. If you find yourself in a stuck relationship and it's just like, this ain't it for me, then it ain't it for you. Stop trying to make it work. Stop trying to make it work.
You know, and you said something that I frequently will say to people when they're struggling either in their marriage or they're in this long-term committed relationship. Be careful that you didn't fall in love with an idea of what you thought a relationship would be, and you didn't consider the person. I also say, be really mindful about saying things like, they have so much potential, or underneath all that, that's good. I said, let me get this right. So what they showing you is a whole hot mess or whatever, and you try to look behind the Wizard of Oz curtain to say that, oh, but they're good. And you keep saying, though he keeps saying he has these goals of achieving this, you see no action-oriented things happening that shows that person moving towards that particular goal. So I say, forget all that. Look at that person and say, if you never turn into anything more than who you are in this moment, I'm going to be good with that. And if you can't commit to that, you probably should move on.
I agree with that. I also tell people when they find themselves in that situation of thinking, oh, they'll change one day, it's either because of toxic sex or toxic love. Those are usually the two reasons that are keeping people together for the wrong reasons. If it's toxic sex, start fucking yourself. Start having sex with yourself. Start making love to yourself more often. Give yourself what you asking for from your partner so that you can ease that pain and get away quicker. If it's toxic love, remind yourself that just because you love this person doesn't mean you owe them anything. Love is an emotion. Just because I love you don't mean I owe you a relationship. Just because I love you don't mean I owe you kids. Just because I love you don't mean I owe you committed marriage. I love you. I have love for you, but I'm going to have to let you go because you're not what I'm looking for.
But so when people didn't consider any of these things and they end up getting married before they did any of this legwork to figure out this person probably wasn't the right fit, when they come to you, then what? How do you help people navigate that?
So here's one thing I tell married couples is don't come to me if you're trying to stay together, because that's not my job. I tell them that all the time. I am not a therapist. My job is not to keep y'all together. My job is to teach you if you should be together.
Okay.
And so when a married couple do come to me, I always start off from the basics. Why do you want a partner? What are your individual future life goals? Because maybe they're not yoking together.
Yep.
Maybe you forgot the reason why y'all together and y'all trusted love so much because of what you learned from the past, because our grandparents did bad on us. Oh, as long as you love them, everything gonna be all right. Oh, as long as you fall in love with this person, is y'all love each other. Y'all gonna have to make it work. What?
Okay.
Huh?
And it's funny you say that, because if you do some deep diving into those relationships, you find there was a ton of infidelity and all kinds of stuff going on that they never told you about, that they navigated to stay together. So it's funny that you say that. But I will say this, the one thing at least I feel that was a nugget that, I would say grandparents left, they said to me as a woman, look, why buy the cow if you can get the milk for free? So don't ever act like a wife if you're not a wife. What do you feel about that?
So everybody feels like an audition is needed and necessary. Okay. But if you're giving all full benefits before getting married, I do agree. You're not enticing the person to make that next decision, right? Even we have a rule. We're not having kids until we get our income property first, until we get our home. Like we have standards and rules. Before we got married, we said, okay, before we get into a relationship, these are the things that we need to accomplish. This is what we want to fix. Let's make it work, and let's bring something together as a partnership. Because at the end of the day, you are looking for your life partner. You're not looking for the traditional mindset of a marriage and wedding bells, because the wedding only lasts 1% to the marriage that you're going to have with the person that you want to be with for the rest of your life. Are you finding your life partner? Do you have the person that matches where you want to be in the future?
All right. So as we wind down, because I could talk to you for hours, legitimately, I might have to have you back. Let's do a quick true, false, or maybe.
Okay.
Sharing your relationship issues with your friends and family is a great idea because they can help you manage it.
False, and false times 10,000. Don't ever share anything with your family or friends. All they're going to do is judge you. They're not going to give you the best advice, and they're too biased. You need to talk to people who don't know you and don't know the situation, and who's actually trained to take in that information, because emotional dumping isn't good either.
Okay. Childhood shapes your dating behaviors, meaning how you maybe saw your parents, grandparents, or whatever your ecosystem of a family was, often influences how you date.
True, if you didn't get the right type of therapy, maybe if you actually got the right type of support. I don't want people to feel like your past is going to be your prison for your future, because it doesn't have to be. And I'm speaking from experience from having a very terrible childhood. I was able to reconcile with what I thought love looked like from what I seen in the past, and was able to come up with what my own interpretation of love should be and moving forward. And if you had great experiences in the past, it does help push it, and it can be true. But then if you had a bad experience as childhood, we don't want that to shape that. That's what therapy is for. Seek some professional help. Have someone that you could talk to, so your past doesn't become your prison.
All right, I'm gonna let my old lady pop out on you. Chivalry is
Okay.
dead. Chivalry is dead. Men don't open doors, chairs. They don't bring you flowers. That doesn't matter anymore. It's a relic of the past.
Maybe. And I say maybe because who's teaching chivalry these days? See,
Me.
here's the thing. Back in let's go to the 1950s. You've seen it outside all the time. Like, you've seen it, so you can mimic it. Your parents taught it to you. Now, in this day and age where people are so distracted they can't even teach them how to walk, who's teaching chivalry? The person that teaches chivalry is you. Because when that man comes to your house and he honks his horn, you're going to call him and you're going to say, you don't honk your horn to come to me. I'm going to need you to park. I'm going to need you to come to this door, and I'm going to need you to knock on it like a grown person and come get me. When he comes and he doesn't open the door for you, then you stay in the room. And you be like, I'm sorry, I wasn't exiting because you didn't open the door for me. What are you doing? You set the standard. Chivalry is only dead because you're not putting that as a requirement.
I'm gonna go with that because one of the things I always tell people is you teach people how to treat you and love you. Never make the assumption they understand what you need or what you want. That is for you to tell them. All right. So I was gonna wrap up, but I'm gonna give Mariah Phillips the last question because she's going on a first date and I want her to go out there and rock it out. So she's asking, what are some good questions to ask on this first date?
Think about what's important to you. There is no specific question in general. Now, the number one important question is, what do you think about women and women's rights in America? Because that's going to tell you a lot about the person that you're dating. But past that, what's important to you? If you know that you're dating with the purpose that you want to find what a husband, then ask the person, so what does marriage look like for you? Is that something that you're looking for? Like, have those conversations, get to know each other, find out if you want to get past the next step. And don't be afraid of thinking, oh, well, me talking about this is going to probably make them run away because they're going to think I'm too serious. Good. Let them run away. Because when you are vocal about what you're looking for, people who can't take it will walk away. They'll be like, she was looking for something serious, and that's not what I'm looking for. Do not devalue your words just to protect yourself and find yourself in a relationship with someone who's going to manipulate in the first place. So speak it and say that from day one.
I think you're spot on from that. It's about what matters to you is what you should focus on. Your intentions, make them known. It doesn't mean it's happening right now. And that's the part I think a lot of people often can lose sight of. All right. So you are a fantastic guest. So everybody, make sure that you connect with Coach Love. You can visit his website, www.coachloveisn't.enough.com. And the key thing is I noticed that you also have a free ebook, A Beautiful Life. Yes. A journey to the real you. So it sounds like this is something that they can jump into because it talks about self-awareness, emotional patterns, intentional decision makings, which then sounds like it should lead them to scheduling a consultation with you.
Yes. And also, I host an event called Mix and Mingle. And if you are in Chicago, I host an event called Mix and Mingle every second Monday of the month. Right now, we are at Park Manor 75 over in the Chatham area. And I have a group on Facebook called Mix and Mingle that actually has a video guide of everything I talk about in the free ebook. So you can join the Facebook. If you go to the website, coachloveisn'tenough.com, you can find the Facebook group and then go to that Facebook group. I have videos that are free in that group that goes through the perspectives of what you need to do. So one, love yourself, set boundaries, set life plans, and find the healthy relationship that you're looking for.
The Mix and Mingle, any rules of engagement? Obviously it sounds like it's just for singles only.
It is for singles only. No sex talk is allowed. You got to talk about other things other than sex. And you have to come dressed to impress. You got to come like you actually looking to approach someone. Fellas, don't come to mix and mingle right off after work. I'm getting tired of that excuse of, oh, I just left work, so I came up here. Men come outside like they didn't have to try, like they living in the world of they get to choose who they marry. And I'm telling you now, fellas, that you ain't living in that world no more. Okay. Come out dressed to impress. Come out like you actually looking to make friends. And that's another focus with Mix and Mingle. We tell people, you only coming out here to make friends. If you have social anxiety and you're terrified of talking to strangers, I guarantee you two stops at Mix and Mingle will help curve that away from you.
Nice. So you can get your warm up, work on some skill sets to get out there and feel prepared. Yeah. All right, everybody. Tore Cas. Coach love isn't enough. If you didn't get some nuggets, some takeaways, I'm going to tell people, share this with your friends so they can watch it if they're struggling with dating. Watch the episode again, because I don't feel like everything always settles in the first time you hear it. Go back and listen to it again. Appreciate you for carving out time, Coach Love, to come on the show. You are nothing short of amazing, as I knew that you would be.
I appreciate it.
All right, everybody. I told you the ambition only gets better. Every guest is just absolutely amazing. So everyone, as always, thank you for listening to the podcast. I appreciate it. The whole purpose, as I said, is to help you to understand and identify your ambitions. And if dating is your goal, guess what? Just like anything else, if you're dating with intention, you got to have a plan. So if you've been moving through your love life and you feel like it isn't going anywhere, it's probably because you haven't put the effort and time into it like you need to. If you want to go back and listen to this episode again, remember, you can find me pretty much on every single podcast platform that there is. You don't have to go looking too far for it. You can always find me on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Amazon Audibles. Just search Maya, My Ambition, Your Ambition. Of course, you can always listen to episodes of Maya on my website. You can just go to www.maya-speaks.com, and then everything Maya is right there. And of course, as I had said to everybody, I'm trying to make things life easy for you, and you can take me on the go, because as you know, I actually do have the app, the Maya Experience, which is free. You just go to the Apple Store, the Amazon Store, and you just download it for there. Or you can go there on your own and just search the Maya Experience, and everything from the podcast and the blog post I have, everything is right there on the go. So you never have to miss a single thing, because the app is right there. So that's called a call to action, everybody. Do me a favor, download the app so we can help you work on all these little small things that want to make you the better person that you want to be as you're seeking that relationship. Because remember, what you bring to your dating table needs to be something that should be palatable, but more importantly, you want it to look delicious. You want someone to want it. So this is presenting yourself in a way of, this person's a really good match for me. They're resonating me. That's what's important. And of course, everybody by now, you know, you can always tune into YouTube. That's an easy way to find me as well. All right, everybody, as I say, until next time, your present is the past and your future is no more. Think about every day and make the most of it. I appreciate your support always, everyone. Until next time, stay amazing, be safe, and never give up on the things that you truly desire to have. Until next time, ciao.
Whether you're on the go or listening on your cell phone, tablet, or laptop, you can find the show in the iTunes, Google, and iHeartRadio platforms.
With all due respect, I believe this is going to be our finest hour.
Just search Maya, My Ambition, Your Ambition, and get ready to be inspired and motivated to harness your ambition.